Good morning. Welcome to the Krieger School of Arts and Sciences graduate ceremony. Please rise for the singing of the national anthem. Bethany Baxter, Masters of Music and Voice student from the Peabody Institute, will lead us in the singing of the anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the Zanville Krieger School of Arts and Sciences graduate ceremony. My name is Kathleen Burke, and I'm the Associate Dean, Graduate Professional Programs in the Advanced Academic Programs. I have the honor of being the first to welcome you, your friends, your family, and everyone that you've brought with you to celebrate this special day. At graduation ceremonies, speakers usually exhort graduates to go forth with their brand new degrees, to follow their passions, and to make a difference in the world. We're going to express those same sentiments to you today, and your Hopkins degree has supported these thoughts. With your Johns Hopkins degree, you've prepared yourself to live and to work in a global community. And that community increasingly compels nations and individuals to collaborate with one another. The Hopkins motto is knowledge for the world, and it's never been more relevant than in the beginning decades of the 21st century. You, graduates, are the bearers of that knowledge, and you've demonstrated in your field of study, whatever that is, and with your perseverance in achieving your degree, that you're capable and ready to engage the difficult task of fostering that international sense of community, taking on issues that may well enhance the well-being of people around the globe. It's my pleasure to begin our ceremony this morning by introducing Dr. Catherine Newman, the James B. Knapp Dean of the Krieger School of Arts and Sciences. Dean Newman is a distinguished scholar, teacher, administrator, and mentor. She assumed the Krieger School's deanship in September of 2010. Dean Newman is renowned for her scholarship in sociology and anthropology. She's written or co-authored 13 books, and she's widely published expert on poverty and the working poor. Dean Newman holds a bachelor's degree from the University of California, San Diego, where she majored in sociology and philosophy. She earned a PhD in anthropology from the University of California at Berkeley. Prior to coming to Johns Hopkins, she led major interdisciplinary initiatives at Princeton and Harvard universities. At Princeton, she directed Princeton's university-wide Institute for International and Regional Studies. She founded its joint doctoral program in social policy, sociology, politics, and psychology. During the 8 years she spent at Harvard, she was the first dean of social science at the Radcliffe Institute for Advanced Study. She also served on the faculties of Columbia University and the University of California at Berkeley. Please join me in welcoming Dean Newman.
Thank you, Dean Burke. On behalf of the entire Krieger School of Arts and Sciences, I am pleased to welcome our trustees, alumni, parents, friends, families, and most of all, today's degree recipients, our newest graduates of doctoral, master's degrees, and certificate programs in the Krieger School. I'm thrilled to be here with you for this momentous celebration. I know how much it means to all of you, and I'm delighted by the incredible diversity represented by this particular commencement ceremony. Indeed, on my way up here to put on these heavy academic robes, I was overhearing, as I always do as a social scientist, the degree candidates talking with their family members and taking pictures, and I could swear I heard at least 8 languages on my way up the road. And that tells you something about the incredible international diversity of the student body in these advanced degree programs. Just look around you. Among this year's doctoral and master's degrees recipients are many people who've committed themselves to study the theory in a changing technological, social, and political environment. This is the same field of work as today's speaker, a technology leader who's devoted herself to technology in the public interest. Many of you are receiving degrees from doctoral and full-time master's degree programs in the Krieger School's normal departments, chemistry, history, cognitive science, humanities perhaps, and a large number of you have pursued personal or professional dreams through one of the graduate tracks in our very distinguished Advanced Academic Programs Division. Among the AAP graduates are those of several innovative joint and dual degree programs in areas such as bioinformatics, biotechnology, government, and communication, and several of those partnerships are the result of our close and treasured collaboration with the Whiting School of Engineering and the Carey Business School. And we're pleased and honored that our colleagues from these other Johns Hopkins divisions are with us to celebrate with you today. As varied as the fields of study are that you represent are the paths that you've taken here and the directions you will pursue from this point forward. Some of our graduates will use their degrees to become faculty or leaders in their industries. Others of you will venture out into the working world, sometimes for the first time, or weave newly acquired knowledge and cultivate creativity throughout your daily lives. For many more, the master's degree is part of a broader arc of research programs that will lead you to the doctorate. The ties that bind you, all of you, across disciplines and curricula have been the pursuit of knowledge and a steadfast commitment to excellence, both of which are fundamental credos of the Krieger School of Arts and Sciences. For me, then, today marks a great celebration, and actually the last for me, as I will be transiting from Johns Hopkins to the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. So it's a very special occasion and a little bit of a wistful one for me, as I know it is for you, because today marks a series of enormous professional and personal accomplishments for all of you, but also for all of us as part of the Krieger School community. You have infinitely enriched us with your presence, and we're grateful for you that you chose us to be the place where you made this mark. I extend to you and all of your family members, children, grandchildren, grandparents, the whole 9 yards, my most heartfelt congratulations on reaching your personal goals, and wish you the very best for your future. It's now my great pleasure to introduce my colleague and friend, Dr. Robert Lieberman, who is the Provost and Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs at Johns Hopkins University. A well-known scholar on issues of race and politics and the welfare state, Dr. Lieberman received a number of prizes for his work in this field. His first book, Shifting the Color Line, Race and the American Welfare State, won the highly coveted 1999 Lionel Trilling Book Award for the best book by a faculty member at Columbia University. And he has received awards including fellowships from the Russell Sage Foundation, the German Marshall Fund, and the American Philosophical Society. Provost Lieberman joined the university as its 14th provost and faculty member in the Department of Political Science only about a year ago. Prior to assuming his role as provost, he served as the interim dean of Columbia University's School of International and Public Affairs and professor of political science and public affairs. He'd been a faculty member at Columbia since 1994, becoming a department chair in 2007, and Vice Dean for Academic Affairs in 2009. Currently, as our provost, Dr. Lieberman is responsible for promoting and coordinating all of the university's teaching and research missions and helping every Johns Hopkins school, especially this one, achieve preeminence in its field. Please join me in welcoming Provost Lieberman for his greetings to the graduates.
Thank you very much, Dean Newman, Dean Burke, distinguished members of the faculty, and above all, parents, friends, and members of the great Johns Hopkins class of 2014. It's my privilege and my distinct pleasure to stand before you today. This is my first year presiding over and participating in commencement here at Johns Hopkins. We finally got some good weather, so I think we're going to have a great morning. On behalf of the entire Johns Hopkins University community, I really sincerely welcome you to today's ceremony. Before I address you, our graduates, I want to take just a moment to pay tribute to your dean and my friend and our respected colleague, Catherine Newman, for her service and leadership to the Krieger School and to the university. Catherine's leadership is defined by an unwavering and deep commitment to scholarship and education, while at the same time creating collaborations across the university through the Bloomberg Distinguished Professorships and in the Baltimore community by advocating the arts at Station North and in so many other ways. While today is your day, graduates, I want to encourage you to share your appreciation to your dean for making your time here at Hopkins an essential component of your future. So please join me in thanking Catherine Newman for her service to Johns Hopkins. But back to the business at hand. Graduates, you today are part of the 138th class of the Johns Hopkins University. As you know, better than anyone else, our mission here at this great university is to educate our students and cultivate your capacity for lifelong learning, to foster independent and original research, and to bring the benefits of discovery to the wider world. We do this by not by merely repeating the tried and true methods that we inherited as students, but by adjusting our methods and practice of teaching to meet the needs of today's students in preparation for your future careers and endeavors. You today join the thousands of students who have earned advanced degrees from Johns Hopkins in both full and part-time programs, both in physical classroom settings and increasingly in the virtual world of online learning. We here at Hopkins are reimagining the ways that we engage students in the learning process. In the physical sense, we are rethinking the traditional four walls and lecture format and have created innovative teaching labs that bring the instructor and the students together in more creative and active learning spaces. And we're combining new teaching methods to include online options for student flexibility, as so many of us and so many of you earn our advanced degrees while working, rearing families, and contributing to our own communities. Our new methods look outward with you in mind, as our world economies become more inextricably tied together and interconnected, as the skills and needs of the workforce change, as the needs of our communities increase and transform themselves, we here at Johns Hopkins remain committed to providing educational programming and opportunities that fosters your success in the learning environment, your career, and your life pursuits. I know that your time here was one of exploration and cultivation, and as we endeavored to support that learning experience. I hope you developed relationships, knowledge, and experience that will shape your future and guide your passions and give you the confidence and ability to achieve what you dream. And I know that I speak for all of us in the university and on the faculty when I say that we look forward with great eagerness and anticipation to your accomplishments in the years to come. Today marks a great celebration of your personal accomplishments, to be sure, but also of our broader academic community here at Johns Hopkins. We have been made so much the better by all that you have brought us, and will be infinitely enriched by all that you have done and will continue to do as Johns Hopkins University alumni. We are so proud of your accomplishments and of you, and I hope that you will always be proud to call yourselves graduates of the Johns Hopkins University. Congratulations, Johns Hopkins class of 2014.
Thank you, Provost Lieberman. Okay, Johns Hopkins scholars, we're getting to the moment. It's now my pleasure to invite one of our faculty, Kathy Wagner-Hill, to the podium to introduce our graduation speaker. Prior to coming to Hopkins 15 years ago, Kathy taught at Swarthmore College and was previously a congressional fellow with the Office of Technology Assessment. She was later a policy analyst and project director in that congressional agency's Oceans and Environment program. At Hopkins, Kathy has been the director of AAP's Center for Advanced Governmental Studies, which, as some of you know, houses 4 master's degrees and 3 graduate certificate programs. Currently, Dr. Wagner is co-authoring a book, Analytics, Policy, and Governance, to be published by Yale University Press next year. Please join me in welcoming Kathy Wagner-Hill.
Thank you, Dean Burke. It is my great pleasure to have the honor of introducing our commencement speaker, Jennifer Pahlka. We are truly fortunate to have Ms. Pahlka with us because, like many of us in the Krieger School of Arts and Sciences, she shares a great commitment to civic action and community innovation. Ms. Pahlka is the founder of Code for America. I urge you to listen to her TED Talk, if you haven't had a chance already, called Coding for a Better Government. It discusses the organization whose mission is to connect citizens and government to design better services, encourage low-risk settings for innovation, and support a competitive civic tech marketplace. As she put it, it's about using technology to reframe the function of government, to encourage innovation and help government work better. Ms. Pahlka is a graduate of Yale and the winner of several prestigious awards, and she's quite modest and told me before that I didn't need to list them, but I feel I should share with you at least a few of the most noteworthy, including MIT's Kevin Lynch Award, the Oxford Internet Institute's Internet and Society Award, and the National Democratic Institute's Democracy Award. Currently, she is on leave from Code for America to serve as the U.S. Deputy Chief Technology Office in the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, where she advises the President and others within the Executive Office of the President on the effects of science and technology on domestic and international affairs. Theodore Roosevelt once said that far and away, the best prize life offers is a chance to work hard at work worth doing. I've always felt that KSAS graduates understand this, and it is why they pursue their Hopkins degrees in public service or other work worth doing. And Jennifer Pahlka typifies this pursuit as well. Please join me in welcoming Jennifer Pahlka.
Thank you. I am truly honored to be sharing this day with you, and I am humbled by the task of making this memorable day more memorable or more meaningful, or the more meaningful day more memorable, whichever you like. When I sat down to write, I thought back to my own graduation in 1991. You can do the math, I'm not going to do it for you. And I thought about the words of wisdom that I must have heard that day, and I couldn't remember a single thing. I remember that the master of my college mispronounced my roommate's name. I remember that I cried saying goodbye to friends and that my mascara smudged. I might remember that detail because there's a photo that documents that lovely piece of the day. But I do not remember the commencement speech or even who the speaker was. Someone, possibly someone very important, who surely put hours into his or her speech and undoubtedly left happy about having made a mark on America's young people. Actually, this gave me a degree of comfort in preparing my remarks today. But it also made it easy for me to decide what I wanted to say to you all today. We all know that this has traditionally been a day to celebrate being done with learning and planning and to embark upon the doing part. This is when we take our hard-earned skills and go out into the world, putting them to meaningful use according to our plans. Well, I think this graduating class of all graduating classes will know how wrong this really is. But let me make the case for why it is critically important that you completely dismantle this construct and replace it with something more appropriate to the challenge of our times. While our individual lives may not always go exactly according to plan, what I'm warning against most is the illusion that we can learn what we need to learn and then plan based on what we've learned and then execute to that plan. So little that is remarkable in our world today came about in such an orderly fashion. Consider one of the miracles of modern society. And by miracle, I mean something that people consider simply shouldn't work, the way the bumblebee is not really supposed to be able to fly. I'm talking about Wikipedia, which shouldn't be as accurate and timely and comprehensive as it is, given that it's written by amateurs who have other jobs. But the fact that it's not a professional endeavor isn't my point. Did you know that it started out as something called Newpedia? Its special sauce was the process they designed, a way to rigorously test, develop, and fact-check articles before they were published. It was to be written only by the top experts in the field, and when it launched, it went according to plan, except for the fact that they realized about a year in that they were only publishing 12 articles a year. But one of the staffers had heard about something called a wiki, which is basically a web page that anyone can edit, and suggested that they try it here. So co-founder Jimmy Wales and others decided to try opening up the process and letting anyone who wanted to contribute. Now Wikipedia contains over 4.5 million articles in English alone and is updated millions of times a day. One of them probably even contains the name of my commencement speaker. The lesson here was summarized perfectly by Clay Shirky, who has written a number of fantastic books about how the internet affects society. Clay said, "It doesn't matter what you do first, it matters what you do next." Trying something, especially if you can try that something at low cost and low risk at a small scale, and then obsessively learning what that experiment is trying to tell you, is how most of the successful consumer internet companies were built. And the reason metaphysical Silicon Valley appears to be so successful isn't that programmers are smarter than the rest of us. It's that for every successful product or company, there are dozens that didn't make it. Instead, they learned quickly what didn't work, and they moved on to a new angle or a new mission when what they tried failed. It's that famous Thomas Edison line in action: "I haven't failed, I've just learned 10,000 ways that didn't work." This idea is very important to me for two reasons. First, I believe that some of the greatest gains we have to make as a society can come from practicing this approach, not just in new endeavors, but within the largest and oldest institution in our country, the one designed not to serve its customers, but to serve every citizen of the United States. I'm talking about our government. I believe that government can do this, is doing this, and needs to do it more for the sake of those that it serves. But the second reason that I think this is important is that when you commit to the try and learn approach, it forces you to focus on one thing: the person or people that you are trying to help. In the tech world, we call this person the user. The business term is the customer, of course, but you might as easily say the patient or the student or the defendant or the citizen, depending on the context. But what we're really talking about here is simply caring about what we put other people through. Whether it's the experience in a doctor's waiting room or applying for financial aid, it's privileging the needs of human beings over the needs of the institution or company addressing those needs. It's fundamentally about showing respect for each other by constantly listening to those we serve and learning what works for them. It's about always thinking about what to do next to make it a little bit better. Last year, 2 teams of fellows at Code for America worked with the City and County of San Francisco to understand what it's like to enroll in CalFresh, our state's nutrition assistance program. As you would expect, they interviewed people in the program, but more importantly, they enrolled themselves. The fellows didn't qualify for the program, so a few of them got permission to enroll but not actually spend the money. Once they were enrolled, they started getting notices in the mail, a lot of notices, notices that made very little sense to them, in language they didn't understand, often written in all capitals. That's a good way to leave a ransom note, but it's a bad way to communicate. The fellows found that they were dropped from the program several times because they had failed to comply in some way, despite doing their best to respond to each of these notices. Each time, they re-enrolled, and throughout the process, they tried to imagine how difficult this would be if you, say, didn't get your mail regularly, or if you didn't have time to carefully read every single notice. They heard from people they interviewed what it's like to be at the front of the line at the grocery store, your purchases all bagged up and ready to go, and find that your CalFresh card doesn't work that day. Hunger meets humiliation at checkout stands across our country every day because our system communicates in a language designed for institutions, not for humans. So this team tried a couple of experiments. First, they looked at ways of changing the forms, which turned out to be very hard. They tried creating a website that explained the notices to people, but no one really visited it. Then the team did a small thing. They built a way for the CalFresh program to send recipients a text message that simply said, "Your CalFresh benefits may stop at the end of this month. Questions? Call us." They tried different ways of wording this, and they tracked which ones resulted in more interventions, and they found over time how to keep thousands of people from having that terrible moment at the checkout stand. Each step of the way, they focused on what to do to make the experience a little bit better. This team did not follow a set plan. In fact, they started out thinking that they would work on a system to make the assignment of beds in homeless shelters easier. Instead of following the plan, they followed the needs of the users, and they found a place where they could really make a difference. They iterated and they evolved. There's a narrative about power in our society in this age. As we've moved from an industrial society to an information society to a networked society, we can all feel that power structures shift and change. Opportunities open up. Opportunities, yes, for the consolidation of power, but also opportunities to make the world around us reflect our values just a little bit better. Here's how I see it. There used to be planners and strategists and masterminds at the top, and people who execute those plans or serve customers or do the actual work at the bottom, and a whole lot of handoffs in between. The word for this in the tech world is waterfall, because plans get handed down through layers of process. But the world's changed, and the planners haven't gotten the memo yet. To quote Clay Shirky again, the waterfall method amounts to a pledge by all parties not to learn anything while doing the actual work. And this year, we saw how devastating the consequences of this can be when healthcare.gov launched in the fall. But the day the world realized that the site didn't work for its users, some of the most intense, even heroic learning began. Learning that was so successful that the same team that shipped a failure on October 1st, plus a few additions, managed to enroll 8 million people in health insurance by April 15th, 1 million more than even the highest estimates. How did they do it? One way was by getting some of the best technical and design talent in the world to come to DC, join the existing team, and help fix the site. But what they really did is they stopped looking at their plans and their org charts and their contracts, and they started listening to the users, to the people who needed coverage and had to navigate the site to get it. They listened to the data that those users left and monitored them obsessively. This team dropped everything in their lives and worked, in some cases, 120 days straight, 18 hours a day to fix the site. Why would they do that? I've talked with most of them, and I think universally the common answers are they did it because they wanted their fellow Americans to have access to health care. And they did it because they are doers. So planning up top, doing at the bottom and a long string of handoffs in between, that is the past. The future is doing, learning, and doing again, keeping what works and editing what doesn't, all the time listening to real human beings with real needs and trying to make their experience a little bit better every day. The future is planning, policy, implementation, and service in a dynamic, ongoing conversation. When you leave here, forget about the job title you have or the job title that you're handed, and make it your job to disrupt that deadly waterfall and instead create a swirl. Make it your job to be the voice of the user, to speak for the needs of the people you serve. Because if you don't, who will? And speaking of job titles, may I suggest one? How about founder? I live half the time in the world of tech startups, where there's a cult of the founder. But my heart is in the world of public service, where people understand that at its core, government is simply what we do together. And here, when we say founder, we mean the founders of our country. The thing about founders of companies or countries is that they don't have just one job. They have all the jobs. And their number one job is to speak for the user, or perhaps to speak for the people. Company founders and the founders of our nation have another thing in common. Jack Dorsey, who was a founder of 2 companies himself, said it very well. The founders of our nation had a lot of good ideas, but they had one really great idea, a more perfect union, and the realization that they weren't going to get everything right the first time around, because the work is unfinished, open to the future, open to change, open to evolution, and that there is not one founding moment, but in fact, many. I believe that we are at one of those founding moments, a moment when we realign the values, our own values, with how we run our businesses and institutions. If you remember nothing else from today, and I say this with full knowledge of my own track record in remembering things, but if it's all a blur a week from now, remember this. The opportunity for you today is to be a founder of something, anything, something that matters to your fellow humans by continually listening to each other, constantly iterating, and making planning, learning, and doing as dependent on each other as we human beings are dependent on each other. Or you can just remember, it matters what you do next. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Well, thank you, Ms. Pahlka, for a wonderful and inspiring talk for our graduates. It's our pleasure to have you here with us this morning. Graduates, we will now proceed to your recognition. This moment marks the culmination of much hard work, the realization of dedicated collaboration among students, faculty, staff, and practitioners, and an eagerness to go forth and share the knowledge and skills and perspectives that have been gained in our graduate programs at the Zandvoort Krieger School of Arts and Sciences. Reading the names for today's ceremony is Craig Jones, Data Analytics and Business Intelligence Specialist in Advanced Academic Programs. Craig Jones will read the names and graduates will be called forward.
Thank you, Dean Burke. We will now begin with the awarding of degrees. Please hold your applause until we have awarded all degrees. Will the recipients of the degrees of Doctor of Philosophy in the Zandvoort Krieger School of Arts and Sciences please come forward? Will the recipients of the Doctor of Philosophy in Biophysics please come forward? Brian Doctrow. Will the Doctor of Philosophy in German and Romance Languages degrees candidates please come forward? Michael McLaughlin Strayer. Will the Doctor of Philosophy in Physics degree candidates please come forward? Christopher Peter Brust. Will the recipients of the Master of Arts in Classics please come forward? Brendan Grady Stevens. Will the recipients of the Master of Arts in Cognitive Science please come forward? Etta Tally Flamholes. Will the recipients of the Master of Arts in Economics please come forward? David Tiggs. Will the recipients of the Master of Arts in Mathematics please come forward? Evan J. Stafford. Will the recipients of the Master of Arts in Public Policy please come forward? Sophia Pakiza Nasher. Will the recipients of the Master of Fine Arts in Writing Seminars please come forward? John Grasser. Julia Lynn Heaney. Richard Joseph Hoffman. Sherston Ann Kaufman. Elizabeth McKelvey Thompson. Will the recipients of the Master of Science in Biology please come forward? Belinda Ikope. Will the recipients of the Master of Science in Neuroscience please come forward? Jay Shi. Will the recipients of the Master of Arts and Master of Science in the Advanced Academic Programs of the Zanville Krieger School of Arts and Sciences please come forward? Will the recipients of the Master of Arts and Master of Science in Applied Economics please come forward? Monica Alejandra Argati. Anne Elizabeth Arthur. Jeffrey Ryan Bogan. Guadalupe del Carmen Cerritos Gomez. Michael James Chow. Michael Kristen. Ashley Marie Pay. Damian Thomas. Ha Thu Tran. Yanmin Yi. These are the recipients of the Master of Science in Applied Economics. Hanan Abu Shanad. Isabella Arajo Ribeiro. David Carthage Joseph Burns. Tammy Joanna Chang. Jaime Alberto Duque. Ming Fing. Carl Preston Fisher. Sarita Anuradha Ghosh. Carolina Asene. Jesse Allen Gurman. Eva Kigo. Robert Paul Koroshetz. Faraz Khalil Hossein. Stephen William Imul. Tendai Kapfidze. Zelin Lee. Chang Lu. Ashley Elizabeth McHale. Karen Milam. Richard Mogtater. Jesse Bright Newman. Dylan Paul Richmond. Marcela Guadalupe Rubio. Donald Foster Schneider. Donald is also receiving a certificate in National Security Studies. Melanie Jessica Shuck. Gregory Jungmin Song. Carolyn Maureen Spring. Andres Vergara. Helen Beatrice Wallen Cohen. Yangqi Zhou. Hao Xiang. Will the recipients of the Master of Arts in Communication please come forward? Bradley Abrams. Kristen Sheldon Acosella. Dana Lynn Ayers. Victoria Balades. Glenn Barber. Terry Anne Marie Barnes. Petra Basma. Linda K. Caron. James Wu. Jacqueline Leigh Kelsky. Paige Marie Daggett. Nina Dominic. Jennifer Lynn Davis Braun. Michelle Sue Deemer. Suzanne Flood. Rosalind Marshall Hooks. Abigail Dawn Ireland. Adam Brown Cap. April Marie Krieger. Emily Ruth Kuhn. Jessica Mankari. Molly Elizabeth Mutesic. Alyssa Kristen Parambo. Catherine Elizabeth Post. Amy Lynn Riegard. Rebecca Marie Rognes. Alexandra Faith Tarrant. Vivian Bernice Thompson. Camille Tolliver. Rebecca Van Roy. Cameron Tyler Johnson. Krista K. Vermillion. Evan Larchuk von Leer. Nadia Yanez. Erica Lynn Zavada. Will the recipients of the Master of Arts in Global Security Studies please come forward? James Lewith Atwater. John Bennett. Devin Michael Blythe. Angelina Louise Camacho. Thomas Matthew Carey. Megan Morrison Cornish. Eric Mason Fagley. Merrick Benjamin Garb. Samantha Rachel Karp Levy. Eric Nickpy Mann. Amy Melinda McGrath. Jeff Michael Medeiros. Megan Leanne Ortegas. Adam William Paffenroth. Amanda Susan Rossi. Paul Buckley Steinberg. Carl Robert Stifler. Carla Renee Vayanis. Will the recipients of the Master of Arts in Government please come forward? Kenneth Scott Ames. Mario Bowl. Brittany Nicole Foster. Amanda May Hong. Carla Maria McCarthy. Amarzaya Naran. Anna Courtney Platt. Rachel Lee Smith. Taylor Smith. Joanna Coleman Walk. Will the recipients of the Master of Arts in Public Management please come forward? Brandy Blevins. Diego Basante. Morgan Edward Fenton. Daryl Hamilton Jordan. Will the recipients of the Master of Arts in Museum Studies please come forward? Laura Renee Armstrong. Sarah Beth Arnold. Brittany Lee Baxa. Claire Elizabeth Berg. Jamie Booth. Amy Fantasia. Anna Carol Frew. Allison Lee Gamble. Danielle Hammer Geffel. Emily Ann Guth. Jamie Holen Hoffman. Lindsay Horn. Linda Susan Cruz Jones. Ashley French Entman. Haley Catherine Joins. Angelique Kelly. Cherry Ann Larkin. Stephanie Faith Malin. Lisa Marie Marciano. Megan Marley. Rachel McBroom. Alan Michael Noble. Catherine Ann O'Brien. Jennifer Lynn Pitts. Fabian Suzanne Powell. Alana Quinn. Soli Salas. Amanda Marie Shields. Julia Estelle Silver. Susan Slater Tanner. Jessica Elise Smith. Kirsten Allison Smith. Michelle Carey Sparks. Lee Joy Tenney. Nicole Michelle Tataro. Sarah Lynn Vandekar. Jacqueline Elise Verbitsky. Hanako Bam Wakasuki. Lisa Abby Warren. Will the recipients of the Master of Arts in Museum Studies and Nonprofit Management dual program please come forward? Krista Lynn Flieger. Will the recipients of the Master of Arts in Writing please come forward? Jennifer Marie Bolognese. Amanda Marie Breton. Paula Lazor Cruikshank. Andrew Joseph Fontaine. Kristen Helen Grimaldi. Kate Arita Hoyt. Catherine Weiler Krems. Amy Linwander. Michelle McFarland. James Paul O'Sullivan. Kia Michelle Standard. Will the recipients of the Master of Liberal Arts please come forward? Casey Michelle Connolly. Rusella Lucree Davis Rogers. Martha Eva Gamble. Zipporah Gilchrist. Jennifer Gail Loss. Patrick Martell. Sarah Elizabeth Matthews. Priscilla Joy Schaefer Matthews. Mary Lee McIntyre. Raven Danielle Minervino. Andrew Soterios Papas. Kelly Spring. Melanie Racine Torsella. Will the recipients of the Master of Science in Bioinformatics please come forward? This degree is offered jointly by the Krieger School of Arts and Sciences Advanced Academic Programs and the Whiting School of Engineering's Engineering for Professionals. Dean Smith from the Whiting School of Engineering will join us for recognition of these graduates. Stephen Huang. Shushma Manjunath. Bert Mueller. Edward Alex Salinas. Nalish Sarakhkar. Will the recipients of the Master of Science in Bioscience Regulatory Affairs please come forward? Misirach Getane Biable. Kwiku Pepra Biney. Erica Dawn Butler. Miriam Farolino Canaris. Preti Dev. David Chilton Mitchell. Marilyn Aparagu. Will the recipients of the Master of Science in Regulatory Science please come forward? Mattia Raquel Johnson. Will the recipients of the Master of Science in Biotechnology please come forward? Olafunmalade Busayo Adeo. Amberine Zinat Ahmed. Asla Abdelaziz Ahmed. Delona Ayana Bokat. Sairam Velivala. Ankita Balsaraf. Jeffrey Sickler Barnett. Naomi Ruth Bartley. Diane Bayron. Katie Frances Beerl. Sneha Berry. Seneca Lynn Bessling. Monique Lauren Brissett Dyer. Tierra Nicole Brown Croson. Emily Rose Caton. Adrian Chan. Christina Sine Chang. Srikant Charaya. Concord Chung. Ruby Chung. Nivedita Chowdhury. Priyanka Verma Chu. Janelle Adessa Siafardani. Joshua Aaron Kuko. Cleo Astrid Desmet. Palomi Hitan Dolakia. Vanessa Diaz. Anna Marie Drude. Roxanne Christine East. Nicole Fuchs. Derek Gambra. Veronica Chu Gantert. Laxmi Salaja Ganti. Marie Christine Gestoli. Logitha Garashwaran. Shantan Reddy. Danielle Christina Hartle. Richard William Hong. David Robert Husband. Jamie Ashley Janeski. Swathi Karathkian. Jill Cecilia LaFavors Perez. Jill is also receiving a certificate in National Security Studies. Hee-Jung Lee. Tiffany Lee. Eunice Lin. Nima Moavin. Heather Lynn McFall. Anna Grace Mose. Rubaiyat Mohsen. Janelle Marie Montaigne. Michael Stephen Montgomery. Blessing Kalechi Induka. Jacqueline Marie Owens. Petros Parpos. Janvi Abudhai Patel. Derek William Paul. Hannah Janine Perrin. Kella Elizabeth Player. Adam Allen Powell. Akil Rachamagdugu. Kundil Rafiq. Bangacha Meenakshi Rajan. Tabitha Sue Ratliff. Michelle Roseanne Ravert. Tiffany Shante Ross. Hannah Suzanne Sanford Crane. Samantha Marie Scott. Brandon Sebring. Richard Daniel Sharp. Jennifer Stacy Marie Silverstein. Sarah Christina Spano. Priya Srinivasan. Brian Christopher Stackhouse. Rebecca Catherine Stevens. Tessa Strong. Nia Pulan Thakkar. Ariel Marie Tucker. James Clifford Ulrich. Juan Camillo Vanegas. Rebecca Evelyn Veach. Diana Mila Veslinovich. Paula Jane Williams. Matthew Edward Winter. Anastasia Joy Wynn. Roya Zarpak. Will the recipients of the Master of Science in Biotechnology, Master of Business Administration, please come forward? This is a joint program offered by the Krieger School of Arts and Sciences, Advanced Academic Programs, and the Carey Business School. Joining us is Dean Frick. Leah Kavan. Mark Edward Najako. Mihir Ashok Shah. Will the recipients of the Master of Biotechnology, Enterprise, and Entrepreneurship please come forward? This is the first class to graduate with this degree. Mima Khalif Bamba. Jeremy Richard Bullough. Taylor Brooke Hamilton. Wee Chin Su. Kimberly Ann LaPointe. Sarah Colleen Long. Armando Salim Munoz Abraham. Will the recipients of the Master of Science in Energy Policy and Climate please come forward? Pratik Bansal. Ehsan Bakshi Desfuli. Alicia Anya Jilalovich. Gerald Gregory Basco Gloria. Patrick Edward Hughes. Brian Reel. David Joseph Ribeiro. Regina Shakia. Esmeralda Shikoza Spuza. Dikshia Upadhyaya. Corey Nathaniel John Vizina. Will the recipients of the Master of Science in Environmental Sciences and Policy please come forward? Jessica Ann Aberlind. Laura Lee Cascada. Zelphia Marcel Cobb. Kevin Emmett Dixon. Omar Edmundo Gardner. Shannon Elizabeth Gray. Michelle Marie Guka. Suzanne Michelle Cashno. Tracy Kiernan. Stephen Douglas Comaviz. Stephanie Ann Lane. Maria Lynn Lavadier. Yuen Lepe. Ethan Christopher Martin. Giovanni Morellis. Laura Elizabeth Nolan. Victoria Williams Peabody. Jamie Ramsey. Hillary Brooke Sensor. Christina Eduque Velahagen. Congratulations to all the graduates. Please welcome again Dean Kathleen Burke.
Thank you very much, Craig, and congratulations, graduates. Now that you've enjoyed a well-deserved walk across the stage, I join with Provost Lieberman, Dean Newman, and all the faculty and staff in welcoming you to the Johns Hopkins alumni community, now over 186,000 strong, from 9 schools in 1 university. Today's ceremony does more than mark a milestone, one full of accomplishment. It marks your acceptance into a community of thinkers and doers with a shared experience. This is the final graduation ceremony of what has been an exhilarating commencement week, where all 9 schools have celebrated the significant achievements of their graduates. Perhaps we've saved the best for last. Enjoy this occasion, for it is not an ending but a beginning of lifelong learning and lifelong friendships. Your achievements give the Krieger School and the university many reasons to be proud. At this point, I would also like to recognize for their leadership individuals who have shaped our academic offerings. First, our special guest from the Whiting School of Engineering's Engineering for Professionals program for his instrumental role in our joint and dual degree program. Please join me in acknowledging the Associate Dean of the Whiting School of Engineering's Engineering for Professionals, Dr. Dexter Smith. Second, our special guest from the Carey Business School. Please join me in acknowledging the Vice Dean for Education in the Carey School, Dr. Kevin Frick. Third, I'd also like to acknowledge Dr. Greg Ball, the Vice Dean for Science and Research Infrastructure at the Krieger School of Arts and Sciences. Greg? Dr. Stephen David, the Vice Dean for Undergraduate Education and a Program Chair in AAP. and Ms. Terry McBride, the president of the Johns Hopkins University Alumni Association. Fourth, a group that many of you know well, are program chairs and program directors of the degree and certificate programs which you have just achieved. Could you please stand as a group, chairs and directors, and be recognized? Also, we have with us on stage our faculty program coordinators and other faculty who teach in our programs. Could you please stand as a group and be recognized? While each of you graduates has put forth a tremendous effort towards getting to this day, it's also our desire to recognize those special guests, family, friends, spouses who have helped you realize your goal. Graduates, please join me in welcoming the members of your friends and family with a round of applause. I have one final announcement before we begin the recessional. Graduates, their family and friends and guests are invited to a reception in the O'Connor Recreation Center, which is immediately going to follow this recessional. And now, would the audience please remain seated as we begin the recessional from the stage. We wish you all the best success. Thank you for joining us, and go forth and do great things.
Short?